Welcome to the 14th edition of the Vynners Community Masterclass. I'm Isha from the marketing team at Vyntelligence, where I help bring these incredible stories to life. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be your host today. Today's topic is one that hits close to home for all of us: faster connections for happier customers. And trust me, you're about to hear some game changing insights. We've got an incredible speaker, Rory Davidson from Affinity Water, joining us, ready to share real world stories, hard won lessons, and the smart ways they're transforming their operations with AI. Quick housekeeping. Throughout our time together, we want to hear from you. Drop your questions in the Q&A section anytime, whether for our guest speaker or the Win team. We'll tackle them live and circle back during our dedicated Q&A. Ready? Let's dive into today's masterclass. So, moving up to our agenda, what do we have in store for you today? First up, I'll share a quick overview of the Winners Community, our purpose, how it all started, and why we're here today. Then we'll move straight into the heart of our session: winning stories with Rory Davidson from Affinity Water, hosted by our Customer Success Director, Melissa Kennedy. Following that incredible session, our VP for Utilities, Ancel, will recap the key insights from our speaker and lead a Q&A to tackle any questions you have. And finally, we'll be presenting some well-deserved awards to some amazing customers who are our star winners today. It's going to be an action-packed session, so let's get started. So, a quick bit of history first. The Winners Community exists for one simple reason: to create a space where we can all learn from each other. Every single person in our community, whether it's a customer, prospect, user, influencer, or team member, is constantly discovering how innovation reimagines the way we work and drives exceptional results. The Winners Community is where we come together to share those breakthrough moments and learn from each other's experiences. Today's focus is particularly exciting: using innovations like video intelligence to achieve faster connections for happier customers. And here's what makes this special. While our speaker, Rory Davidson, comes from the water industry, the insights and strategies they'll share are absolutely game changing for any industry. So, without further delay, I'm thrilled to hand over to Melissa Kennedy, our Customer Success Director, who will be leading our conversation with Rory. Melissa, over to you.
So it's my pleasure to introduce Rory.
Sure. So I'm Rory Davidson. So I've worked in the water industry for about 15 years, doing various roles across that. Sort of about 5-6 years ago, I kind of fell into the developer services remit. So looking at new connections really helped me sort of understand what I wanted to do with my career, and I've been fortunate enough to be quite successful, work my way through various roles, and now as growth and strategy manager at Affinity, kind of using the things that I like best about the job and being able to utilize the skills that I kind of built over the sort of the last 10-15 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a pleasure to introduce you, Rory. You know, you're a real game changer. The things that I've seen is that you bring such a wealth of experience from the water industry. And as I know, you've been sharing with me, you've been making an impact since 2008. And, you know, so many different roles, and, you know, and you have so much to bring into the conversation because you've been out in development services, and but also doing things like maintenance of CRMs, and but you're passionate, you know, this passion that you have for always improving services, that is such fantastic things to be focused on, and driving efficiencies and delivering the user-friendly solutions, you know. And I think you're really passionate about making a difference, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So it's an honor to have you here. And you know, you've been so successful driving different work streams. Today we're going to talk about one of them, but I know you're already onto the fourth work streams, and that's just with us. And I know you're doing lots of other things on the side as well. So let's start. Maybe you can give a little bit of a context about the solution that you've deployed, and then if you can just share the challenges. What were the challenges that you were facing as a business, you know, and why you came and why we started working together. So what were the challenges that you faced that came us to talk about the video intelligence?
Sure. So kind of the main catalyst for change for us was 2020 when they when Ofwat implemented DMEX. So that's kind of a general satisfaction score on how our customers feel our services. So half of it looks at that, and then half of it looks at being able to turn around applications and do things in a certain agreed level of time. So the way it started was not great for us at Affinity. So kind of we took a real long, hard look at ourselves to try and understand where were we failing our customers, how could we improve these things to make sure they got a better service. But not only that, it kind of created a better environment to work in as well. So we kind of took a step back, had a look at the information, really focused on our customer journey. So we found that was really kind of technical, really clunky. It was really time consuming, and it didn't really hit the right spots for the varied customer types that we have. So we have some really technical expert customers that are sort of on site working day in, day out, or we have just kind of your everyday Joe that might be kind of converting a garage into a home office now that we have that flexibility of hybrid working, or somebody that's bought a plot of land to build their dream home. So it was a real big range of customers, but we were all putting them in that same box of asking them to fill in this clunky web form. And that for us was where we took a step back and said, actually, the hardest part of our journey is the very beginning of the journey. So they're already on this negative path already. And that's where the video application idea was born from. So what that allowed us to do was let customers leverage technology that they use on their smartphones every day. So your videos and the forms that you fill it in, and actually take that information, do the hard work for them, and give them a cost in a much quicker time. So the catalyst was really those poor scores and knowing the implications that that has financially to us and to the company. And that's kind of the path that we went through to get to the video applications.
Mm-hmm. No, this is really great. It's great to understand where the starting point was, and usually it starts, from something that's bringing us pain in the business, and clearly the customers weren't happy, and that was reflecting on the DMEX scores. Now, talk to me a little bit about, because whenever there's change, there's an impact both on internal and external customers, and the change management process can be painful in itself, but it's very important. What for you were the key things like you can share with those that are listening to you, and any guidance that you would give them from the lessons you learned on that?
So I think change is always challenging. There's always a resistance to change. So the majority of the time you're always on the back foot when you're looking to do something new, particularly something that might be innovative, that is really off sort of the beaten track. So for us, we were really careful and really clear to our teams to kind of say, look, you've seen the scores. We did a process where we looked at our customers' journey, and you can see how much challenge you're getting when you're actually getting this information because people don't understand it. So you're having to make a lot of effort to get the right information. So if we work really hard on explaining what the benefits would be and the upsides in terms of actually getting the right information first time, and then not having multiple conversations to kind of get to this end point. So for us, kind of the rollout, it was really important to get the buy-in and get the understanding and the benefit, not just to our customers, but also to the people internally that we use in the system and that would be producing the quotes for us. What we were able to do parallel with that was because it was quite a big change for us and it was quite a revolutionary thing for us, was that we did a really nice, gentle, soft rollout. And And the purpose of that for us was to, one, make sure that the product fitted our needs and our customers' needs, but it also allowed us to work really closely with you guys to make those really quick, short, sharp changes that make a massive difference. We definitely made it more complicated than it needed to be. I think we were asking for sort of 5 different videos of the location, and actually what we found really quickly was actually they just need one video. They just need to show us everything they've got to show us in one fell swoop, rather than kind of that 5 separate stages that they were going through. So by doing the gentle rollout, it allowed us to make those changes really quickly before kind of the full release. So for us, the getting the people on board was really important. The gentle rollout with the iterative change was massive for us. And then the final piece of the puzzle for us getting it fully embedded was the incentive for our customers to use it. It was the ease value. It was that anyone can do it. You don't have to sign up to a system, sit at a desktop computer, type all these things in. So it was kind of that 3-pronged element to it that really helped us embed this product.
So for those that don't know exactly the change, what happened, do you want to just explain very quickly? So before Vyn, what the customer was doing, and then after Vyn, what the customer was doing.
So yes, that would help. So we had a lot of customers. Well, all of our customers were pushed to our developer portal. They would then sign up. They would then go to the application. They would then fill in 5 or 6 pages of information about what they were doing. It would then come to us. We'd have a look. More often than not, about half the time, we would go back to them and say, "Thank you for this information, but you are missing this." And then we'd have that bit of dialogue to get the right information, and then we'd finally get it, and then it would take us up to 21 days to produce a quote for them. What we did was we dropped that part where they come and they sit on our portal and they put all of this clunky information in that 9 times out of 10 would generate some form of contact, because the questions about flow rates and things like that, they just didn't understand. So now what we do is we say, send us a video. So we'll send them a link. We have the link advertised on the website, QR codes. We've got all little elements, always sort of kind of giving them this option. And now we say to them, stand at your boundary, give us a video so we can see your traffic situation. So we need road closures, 3-way lights, parking, bay suspensions, all the kind of the intricacies that make up the expense of the quote. And then walk us on your site. And then between Google Maps and our internal GIS system, we can give them a real good ballpark figure. And actually, if they do want to progress with that, great. We've got all that information. We can do the pain of transposing that into our CRM system for them. So we kind of took away that whole pain of sitting, typing, not sure what to do, and just said, just send us the video. You know, the majority.
I can imagine myself not being an expert, having to do something and having very complex questions, very technical questions. For some of them, as you said, it was easy for them because they were technical, but for the other customers that weren't, it would have been quite frustrating and difficult. So for you, the value of video, talk a little bit about the value of video, what you have seen, which, you know, we've talked before about it brought efficiency and this customer experience. All this innovation, what were the key things that you think have helped your DMEX scores?
So we had a lot of customers that would come to us. They'd pay a few £100 for an application fee. They'd get the quote and then realise how expensive it was. And
for those that don't know how expensive it was, because I was surprised, well, how expensive can it be?
So it can be thousands of pounds to get a road closure, parking bay suspensions, bus stop suspensions. It takes 3 months, potentially even longer sometimes. You're kind of at the lap of the local authority sometimes, and it can be really challenging and really difficult to explain that to a customer, because it's really not within our control and not within our power to sort of move things quicker. So So for the customer, it was really good for them to kind of do that video, kind of almost notice what was around them. Oh, there's a bus stop there. Oh, there's this and this. And so when you're having that conversation with them, you can kind of say, you know, when you're at your site and you videoed it, and there was that bus stop outside, that means we're going to have to suspend it. And then you can start helping them understand why the cost is so expensive. You know, these are kind of your best case scenario without road closures is a few £1,000s, £3,000-5,000 just for a simple water connection. So for us, the customer being able to video it and giving them that indication really early helps them understand if they want to progress. And if they do want to progress, we've done all the hard work. So it really impacts on one of the questions they get asked by the company that do our surveys, that asks about the value of the money. So they literally say, how would you value, how would that value for money be on what you paid? We're very expensive because of the area we work in around London, but actually utilizing technology and innovation actually helps our customers understand that, one, we are expensive, why, for a reason, and two, actually, at least we're not just letting them sit there on a computer tapping away, hopefully getting the information correctly. So yeah,
having phone calls, right? They're calling back to say, you know, I don't understand this, or the information that they provide, then you guys not understanding it, if it was, you know, confused and not clear.
Sure, particularly when you're having a conversation about a site, you've seen it almost through their phone, so through their eyes, because they're pointing where they're shooting. So you can really sort of build that, okay, I understand you want to do this because I have seen this. And it's almost like for a lot of our customers, that this is kind of geared at, is that you're part of their project, which is important to them. It's not, you know, it's not just another job for us. It kind of helps us sort of bring that value to them where we're part of it for them. So yeah, it's been, you know, massive change for us.
Fantastic. And you mentioned that, you know, one of the things that we're doing, we're capturing some customer feedback in the app itself. Can you share a little bit about how that came about, and, or, you know, what information, how useful that's been for you guys to have that?
Yeah, so for us, as a part of our soft rollout, we sort of made the effort to talk to every customer to kind of ask how it felt, what was good, what was bad. And I don't know, you know, most people in this virtual room has been surveyed, and more often than not, you just kind of tell that person what they want to hear.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a 10. So for us, we always struggled with sort of taking what we thought the customer was at versus what they actually were at. So in the start, it was easy to make some of the fundamental changes, but over time, it kind of got diluted as that process got better. The feedback was more difficult to obtain. So what we did is we implemented something within the application as an optional survey and asked them really simple questions, optional. Did you like this? It's kind of 5 scales from excellent down to poor. And then, would you use it again? Would you recommend it to somebody else? And actually 98% of our customers saying they would use the service again. And over 75% of them have scored excellent or very good.
Mm-hmm.
So broadly speaking, not only are you making the life easier for the customer, but they're actually enjoying using it much more than probably what some other utilities are potentially asking them to do, sit there, fill in a form, and it just makes it just a bit easier for them, which is ultimately what we want them to do.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. So for you, you know, you mentioned before that the solution really creates this sort of fail fast filter, right? So some of your applications numbers went down, but that was because people already knew before applying that they didn't want to pay thousands of pounds, or maybe they couldn't afford to pay thousands of pounds to be able to convert their front room into an office.
Sure.
And have a new connection there. They would like it, but it becomes a nice to have instead of an imperative, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 4 different sort of elements to the video applications. One of them is our main one, which is actually a separation of supply. So lots of customers looking to separate their supplies because they've got one supply in, but it's going to 4 properties. They're maybe not getting the pressure that they want. Somebody else might have a leak on theirs, which is directly impacting them. So having them sort of make that video, send it to us looking at it and actually, you know, saying you're going to have a road closure, you're going to have this, you're going to have all of these elements to it. Your cost is in excess of £6,000-7,000. They're kind of thinking, I'd like my own supply, but I don't want my own supply that much. So that was really good for us to kind of weed out, probably not the best terminology, but kind of identify those and actually not make them pay a few £100s and do that formal application where we get someone to site to do a survey, and then, you know, within 21 days send them back. We can do that sat by a computer, 5 minutes looking at the video, quick conversation with the customer, explain the lay of the land, and then they can either progress or not.
Fantastic. Thank you. I know you have some top tips that you wanted to share. We asked you if you could put it together. So, you know, I think will be helpful because it's industry agnostic. We have some people here who are from the water industry, but we also have people from other industries. So maybe you could just share some of these.
Yeah. So for us, it was the simplicity of it. So we made it probably more complicated than it needed to be. We asked for kind of 4 or 5 videos, depending on what you were doing. And actually, when we stripped it back and looked at it, we actually didn't need that many. We have actually cut down to one primary one, and then one optional one, just in case the customer thought there was something that we were missing. So for me, it's very much keep it simple. The easier it is for the customer, the more likely they are to get it right. And I think the simplicity really is the key to this. And then kind of the listening to the wider team. So I do remember Ancel and Den coming to visit us once, and we were talking about what we thought we need to be. And Ancel was like, why would you ask the customer to do this when they're giving you all the information and you can do it for them? And actually that always resonated with me. Because although, you know, we always thought, well, we know how to quote these connections, we know what's required. Actually, sometimes you're too close to it. And actually, they're more of a customer than you realize, the guys that you're working with. So, you know, rely on them, use the experience that they've had from storyboards, maybe with different utilities or other water companies as well. So definitely lean on the experts that ultimately you're paying for with this product. And then the iteration is massive for us. You know, launch quick, learn fast, and then make your changes based on feedback. It's one of the things that's reassuring was that sometimes you'll pay for a service and you'll get it, and then that's it. If you want to make any changes, you then have to go through a whole change process where you might need to do a new project, you might need to have additional funding to it. You guys have been really great for us. If we've seen a change, you're willing to learn with us and change it to make sure we get the best product available. And that's why that embracing the iteration is something that you can definitely do, because it's okay to make mistakes. If you wanted to get a perfect product, you'll either A, never release it, or B, it will take you a very long time to get to that point. So sort of launch quickly, learn fast.
This is really helpful. Thank you. So we're going to invite Ancel. Before we go into Q&A, I know that, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about what's next. And I'm going to let Ancel. Are you joining us, Ancel? There we go. Thank you, Ancel. So you heard there, he did listen to you, Ancel, about keeping it simple.
Eventually.
Ancel's a VP for utilities for those. Ancel Boucher, welcome, Ancel. And it's great to have you here. You have great visibility about all our customers across utilities and the challenges that they face. So I know you wanted to talk to Rory a little bit about what's next and, you know, challenges in the industry. So go ahead.
Yeah, and we've got Q&A to go as well. So how should we play? Should we go Q&A first and then tease that out, or see if we get a bit of industry topics first?
What would you prefer, Rory? Your call.
Let's do the questions, because I keep seeing Paul
We know Paul Salmon will have a difficult question for you.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Rory, and yeah, good to see you again. So yeah, you've brought a few memories back to the fore with some of our discussions. So let's start. Oh, we can
Paul
start.
Dooley has some questions from UKPN. I can read them out if you want, Ansel. So saying, great story, Rory. Have you found the accuracy of the quotations have improved? And also, does it make the surveyors more efficient? And is there a back office impact to review the VINs? And he has a follow-on question on how have you found the customer reaction to using VINs? Has it improved the scores? So if you take the first one, perhaps, he's talking about
A lot of questions, yeah.
There's about 5 questions in one. The first one is,
You could write them into the
accuracy of the quotations have improved? So that's the first question.
So accuracy wise, that's quite an interesting question. So obviously we're watching a video that's been submitted to us, so we're having to make certain assumptions with that. So over time, we've actually compared where we started with them versus with all of our learnings, how close are we? And the majority of time, I don't have specific numbers. We can go away, we can have a look, and we can definitely share that. But over time, as you make the learnings, you do find that they are more accurate because you're just more immersed in what the customer's seeing and what are the types of things that you're looking for that you may have missed. I think the thing that we've tried to err on is kind of that side of caution where when you talk to the customer, you say, look, if it involves this, it is going to be this expensive. Whereas actually it might not be. You kind of give them that broader range just to try and cover yourself. Because the last thing you want to do is say, oh, it's just going to be a £5,000 job. Go out and the surveyor says, oh, actually, you need to do all of this and it's actually going to be double that cost. That's a lot. That conversation's a lot more difficult. So what we try to do is we kind of explain how we've come up with our pricing, and we have kind of a set sort of structure to it. So we always cover ourselves, consistency through our different service guys, and give them that ballpark range just because we felt like it was the safest option.
Well, I mean, I'll add an industry stat and be interesting to see whether you get to this similar number, whether it's a gas versus water thing. But Cadent find that based on a standard desktop application that we all know and love, compared to when they then get the VIN submission with it, they end up adjusting about 10% of the quotes. There's a 10% inaccuracy with standard desktop quotation engines versus obviously when you can see actually what's involved and you actually pick up all the nuances about that site, the bus stop example and so on, because those you probably don't ask for, is there a bus stop within X meters down the road, because there's you have to stop somewhere in terms of the locality. So that's a good one. Second one, Mel, from Paul.
Second one is what has been the impact for the surveyors? Has it made them more efficient?
There's not been a huge difference in that, to be perfectly honest. What we're trying to actually do is build up a knowledge base of surveys that we're actually getting done based on the videos the customers are doing themselves, comparing it to what our actual survey in person is, like we were just talking about, and kind of saying, well, actually, can we reduce our costs to our customers by just using this desktop survey, totally taking that whole process out of it. It's something that I think is going to take a lot more learning from us, but kind of the fundamental answer to your question is it's not really impacted the efficiency of them because that's not the way that we rolled it out as of yet. That is kind of our next step. We've just delivered our 4th work stream with Vin, so we'll need to go back and start again once we've got that one up and off the ground.
Has it meant though, and please help me understand, has it meant that, for example, before they would go out and have to do any kind of site visit as part of the application process, or they were doing all of that in the office? Did they ever have to go out, do a site visit as part of the £200 that the customers would pay?
So part of the £200 always involved. Yeah, so that part of that £200 includes a surveyor going to site, having a look and understanding what was the requirements of the project. The site survey is more that desktop approach of here's your ballpark. Do you want to progress before you pay this £200? So, in the sense that we now there is a higher percentage of applications that progress through to actually pipe work being delivered, new connections made. So it's interesting because we've seen our application numbers drop, but actually the percentage of conversions increase, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that probably let's link in Paul's question there, and Paul Salmon's question, which is where you've had that pre-quote, as it were, and then yeah, I do want to proceed, and obviously there is a higher conversion rate on that. Has that been more accurate? Have you had a pretty tight alignment between that budget estimate and the actual? I don't know if you've done the maths on that.
Yes, we were really nervous. That was one of our biggest sort of elements that were what happens if we really get this wrong. Like, because if we get it wrong, it's thousands of pounds, and it's not ideal for the customer, particularly as kind of the customers these are sort of based upon are people that are not big companies. It's their own money. So for us, we were really nervous. So we did an exercise really early on, and it's an ongoing activity where we just keep seeing, taking the learnings from the ones that we've done and seeing if there's a huge variance. We've had a really minimal, I think we've had maybe 2 or 3 out of sort of 250 plus where we've actually got things a bit wrong. But going back to the earlier point is we give that range. The reason we embed that range is purely just because of those two instances. But, 2 out of over 250 is less
compared
than
to Cadent, which could be 25. There could be 10% out, right? So you're down at 1-2% variance,
yes.
which is still a major improvement on things. Okay, perfect. Mel, hit us up with that other.
Yeah, so there was a question as well of the back office impact to review the VINs. Was there an impact? Did you have to have more time dedicated to that? How was that offset? What previously you maybe were spending that time, managing the customer confusion or complaints. How did that pan out for you guys?
So the team that would produce the quotes normally retained that. They did this as well. What we found was that because they understand the makeup of the costs best, it was best off sitting with them. So actually what we've found now is that when it progresses from that desktop quote to that full quote, actually it's a lot more seamless, and that process is improved because we already are able to start building the elements of it already. I think for us, it's the efficiency that we got from that has enabled us to work like that. And I think the way that Vin works, the hardest part for us was that we were trying to dual it on 2 systems. And I think we didn't integrate because one, didn't have the money, and 2, because we just really wanted to make sure the product was right. But the desktop quotation is honestly, it is a less than 10-minute job. So, we're not getting an unbelievable amount of these, but what we are doing is we're saving time retrospectively by the customers who are being priced out due to the nature of their project. Those numbers come down. So it's that is kind of a trade-off between customers that are actually applying because they need to apply and they want that connection versus the ones that are a bit more speculative. So they balance themselves out really nicely.
And I'll bring another industry stat from a previous masterclass from Wales and West, where they had people struggling with even the application form. They would phone in and they'd say, "Oh, can you talk me through it?" They reported on a previous class that it was taking about 20 minutes to step all the way through that process. And what they found is that actually they did exactly this and said, right, this could take a while. A quicker way to do this, I'm just going to send you a link, just follow the process, take a few short videos, and we'll then be able to build the quote because we can look at it for you. and answer all these weird and wonderful questions that we like to ask you in our own heads without asking you, because you've just shown us. And they reported that they would then be able to create that application in about 5 minutes. So that from a contact center advisor time, that's 20 minutes down to 5, because actually they can process the information, they know what they're looking at, and the customer hasn't actually had to answer the question. So once the Nirvana, just point and shoot, as you said, and you can do away with all the questions because you can answer them all in your head. So yeah, probably agree with that. Yeah. I'm going to pick up as there's probably, I can combine a Paul Dooley and Paul Salmon's question. So
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. What was the customer reaction? Did you do any kind of customer feedback to using the process? Did you get any kind of customers finding it difficult or not shooting the right bit of video, or actually did it all? Do we underestimate our customers and actually they're all actually quite good at this?
So it's an interesting question. So the way that we rolled it out was that slow roll. So we got the right information. We didn't listen to Ancel in the first place and made it more complicated. Found that actually 5 videos could be done in 1. So actually the initial rollout, we found a lot of people would record just the whole thing in the first video. They'd almost be a bit too excited, show us everything, when actually we were trying to break it down into specific steps. So that was it was a small irritation, because they'd then get to a video saying, please show us your internal stop tap. And they would then just not have nothing to show because they'd already done it. But we really quickly changed that. So it was a small issue for a couple of different applications. That change was really quick. Going forward, 90% of them give us the information we need, and kind of along with Google Maps, the things that we often miss, maybe to give us a much better view of the perimeter and what's surrounding, you can pick up from Google Maps as well, and our GIS system. So actually the quality on the majority is quite good. The biggest issue we have is still probably people that don't necessarily understand the technology, and that's few and far between. I think we've got over 75% of our customers have said that it is either good or excellent or very good, and that 99% of them say they would use it again. So it really kind of has shown that it does fit the needs for our customers.
Yeah, perfect. So I think that's answered Vinit's question as well around the kind of, you quickly tweaked it post initial launch. I think Jay Carey's just asked a new question in the chat as well.
Yeah.
On that level of instruction detail, I think you've kind of answered that as well, in the sense that you don't actually ask them for an awful lot of really detail, because actually the power of video, you see that detail for yourself, right?
Yeah. So we tried to, like I said, we tried to clearly instruct, show us this, show us that, show us this, show us that, and then just video the whole thing. So kind of our instruction is show us your boundary, show us the the path that you're going to lead up to the the road, show us your roads, and that's pretty much it, to be honest. So it's not much more than that.
And that is the slight nuance sometimes between gas and electricity that you have to watch out for, that often water is brought to the boundary, and it's much more of a boundary based survey. And then sometimes with gas, because it has to be the gas company laying it all the way to the white box on the wall. That's why we do have slightly more extensive journeys in gas, and that's what we always do. And thank you for calling that out, because we do have something like 12 or 14 customers in the UK now using new connections in, but it's all slightly different. Maybe I think we've probably covered largely the questions. I think we can move on to a bit of a what next, because it's in my head. I know from for example, in the gas sector, the subsidies for connections is being removed. So I think there's always been a bit of a debate about we've seen customers, why is my gas connection only costing me £1,000 and my water connection costing me £3,000? That parity is coming back. But they've just yesterday they had their draft determination equivalent, GD3 Rio 2 response, if anyone's seen it. So where do you think, Rory, the market and the regulators are kind of driving water? Should we start with? I know AMP8 brought you some extra incentives within DMEX. What's the summary view that you're seeing and the expectations?
So just kind of picking up on the directly what's next. I think that single for us, our holy grail is one application for all your utilities, just one and done, get it done. Gas, electric, any utility that you need, just do one video, pick it up, work from that, because majority of the time I think you're all asking for the same information. So why ask the customer to do 4 plus applications when they could just do one? You know, so I think for me, that's where I'd love to get next, is how do we collaborate and use this platform with other businesses, other utilities that are using it as well, in either a directly similar format, or are interested on potentially coming along the journey with us. And actually the efficiencies for the customer, that one dig kind of mentality, you open your trench, you lay all of your mains at once, and then you close it, rather than coming back and forth and it just getting really messy. And particularly there's that CMEX element to it, and kind of just that on that industry, the impact on the customer measure of experience, which is all domestic customers, how they feel about us as a water company is a massive thing for us. Again, this AMP, the fines for poor performance are really significant. So, although the DMEX element is separate to CMEX, actually a lot of these DMEX customers end up being CMEX customers, and a lot of them see the development and the growth, and it impacts them with the road closures and the things that we need to do to lay them. So although they're separate metrics, the way that Ofwat define them, actually they do really have a lot of parallels, and it's really important to line them up. So yeah, that one application thing for me is kind of the holy grail.
And we've seen some incentives and some schemes, certainly in places like central London, tried to do that. Whether that's, I think I've seen it between gas and water or thing, but it's pocket examples, isn't it? There's no regulatory incentive as yet to dig once. And I don't know if you've seen any response with your collaboration with others. Maybe there's a few on this call that could maybe stick their hand up and say, I'll work with you, Rory. But have you seen anything actually come forward from a actual incentive?
No, not directly. So one of the questions we do ask is what are you working on utilities? We'll try and work with them. So kind of we do open the door, but we're not walking through it as much as I think we should. And that's definitely something that we'll be focusing on over the next few years, just to try and get that better. We're doing some trials with other companies to look at traffic management and looking at what permits are already out there. Can we share permits? So there is some work that we're doing in the background as well, but I do think that there is more focus to be had on that collaboration.
And what are you seeing from the regulators and the sectors on growth generally in the UK? We've got different pockets. We have things like the city of Cambridge is going to have 150,000 new properties and things like that. What are the pressures like on you to kind of surface, especially in this very high demand period now? It just makes it very evident just how scarce clean water production is. We have our own problems with raw water, but what are you kind of seeing as a kind of trend in the UK?
So for us, it's been a really up and down few years. We had COVID, obviously had a massive impact. Then we had a massive surge in housing. And then we had the famous budget that then sort of dropped everything again. And then we had a bit of recovery in the last few months. It's been a bit strange for us as well, with our work volumes. I think for us, it's the way that we spend our money is really important, because the impact that all the additional growth has on all of our other performance commitments from Ofwat makes it really challenging. So, you know, loads of new houses coming on board has lots of impact on the existing network for low pressures. It messes with the hydraulics, so you get lots of leakage potentially. And then the seasonal demand that you've just mentioned. So obviously it's been hot recently, so you get dry ground, so it cracks, so you get bursts from that. And it's all of the impacts that we have, they all have a relationship with the other ones. There's even the water quality element of being very dry, and it's really, they all feed into each other in normally a direct way, but even sort of through the indirect implications of what's happening. So it's a very difficult industry to be in at the moment, I think, particularly with a lot of the pressure that we're getting from Ofwat and the government and sort of reputationally. So for us, it's trying to sort of build the reputation, make our customers' lives as simple as possible, keep water flowing, which is our new lovely background, and just trying to sort of build the reputation back again.
And how do you see technologies, or specifically Vin, helping you kind of manage some of that variability? But you've got very fixed resource bases, and then you have variable demand. How do you find that that's helping you?
I think the accessibility and the innovation. So I kind of said it already. Everybody has a smartphone, pretty much, right? So it's always at the end. It's at the end of their fingertips, and I think for us, it's by utilizing Vin in all the ways that we can as a business, and I know we're looking to expand it constantly, is leveraging that technology. You know, we don't really get enough work volume through to even build on some of the AI capabilities, but I know some of the other parts of the business that could use it would get the volume and would really help sort of have that work done for them in some. What are the trends, you know, where are the issues? And I think it's there, it's so simple as well, and I think that for me is the really key, is that it's kind of a no-brainer. The simplicity is the king.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Rory. I think one hypothesis I'll always give is that, well, if you have variability in demand, and that's a very resource linked process, you have lots of surveyors, not enough surveyors. Actually, what we want to do is allow you to take out some of that variability in that peak, because you can digitally do something very quickly, and then you can decide how many of those resources that you do have are you dedicating to those jobs that need that value touch point downstream, and not necessarily serving a lot of demand. We've got lots of demand in energy from people wanting, oh, could I put an EV charger here, and here, because I'm trying to work out where the optimal space is. And that's a very expensive regulatory expectation that you have to provide that quote, even if it's somewhat paid for. So I'll move us on, Mel. I'll probably bring that session to a close.
So thank you very much, Rory. I'm going to leave you now with Ancel. You can stay there because we have an award for someone in your team. So I'll let you introduce the awards, Ancel. Thank you very much, Rory.
Thank you, Rory. Yeah, so this is an exciting little closer for us, our star Vynners. Always a fun bit to do this little bit to kind of call out some of the people that we've been working on of late. One of them is in your team, Doug Tackley. I remember very much meeting Doug. I think we want to invite Den, who's worked very closely with Doug, just to say a few words about Doug's approach and things, what kind of work in the team. Are you ready there, Den?
Yes, hello. Yeah, so this award is for Doug. Doug has been a true game changer at Affinity Water, honestly, from the start. He has been a great advocate for Vyn to improve the code generating process. He constantly pushed for adoption of this process and has always found new and innovative ways to incorporate it into the team. By championing this creative solution, Doug has encouraged the team to do better and has not only driven impactful results, but has also set a new standard for excellence and innovation. Unfortunately, Doug could not make it today, so would really like Rory to accept this award on his behalf.
Thank you, Rory. Thank you, Doug.
I think he he really loves the platform. I think it's made his life much easier. And I spoke to him earlier, and he did want, from both of us, a special thank you to you, Den, for all the hard work and all the changes that we're constantly asking you to make the product better. So thank you to you as well.
Yeah, glad to, and obviously it's been great working with Doug and yourself from the start. And glad that the process has improved over time through this collaboration. So yes.
Brilliant, thank you. And then we have one more. I don't know whether this is a surprise or not. Paul was asking a few questions earlier. I personally know Paul very well as well. Shashank, I don't know if it's a few words that you wanted to say about Paul.
Yeah, 100%, yes. A heartfelt thank you and congratulations to Paul Dooley. He is Streetworks Performance Manager at UK Power Networks. And this thank you is for his unwavering dedication to improve safety and compliance across the network. Paul has been a true game changer in the electricity distribution network operator space, leading from the front by adopting new ways of working and championing the use of Vynn's agentic video intelligence capabilities in street work assurance. Paul's approachable nature, positive energy, and relentless drive are reflections of the incredible work being done at UK Power Networks. Paul, we would love to hear a few words from you, if you can, about how the journey has been for you and what lies ahead.
1 second, I'll just enable Paul to speak.
Whilst you're enabling, I would just add, Paul, it's been such a pleasure working with you. We've been deploying for the last 7 weeks, and you're a true connector. You know how to connect the dots between the people, between the processes, and it really has been a true pleasure doing this deployment with you.
Paul, you should be able to get the mic now.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, Paul, loud and
You
clear.
put
Yeah, no.
your camera on, we'll be able to see you. I don't know if you have your camera on.
Camera. I can't find it.
I promoted you.
Bottom left.
Don't worry if not, Paul. Just give us your words.
Oh, it's not promoted. Sorry.
We can still hear you though.
That's okay. You can hear me. You don't need to see me. You know what I look like. Thank you so much. Very, very, very kind words. Some of them warranted, others not, perhaps. No, it's been really good. I enjoy new things. I like simplicity, and that was good from Rory earlier. That's a really good phrase. Deploy quickly, learn. That's exactly the route that we've tried to take. And that's probably the best bit of advice that we can probably take forward as well. So yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. So and we've got a long way to go. But we will. It's good.
Brilliant. Thanks, Paul. All right. I think handing back to Isha now to close us out.
Thank you. Thanks, Ancel. What an incredible session. As we wrap up today's masterclass, I want to take a moment to reflect on what we've accomplished together. From the very beginning, our mission has been clear: to help busy professionals like you simplify your work life by effectively applying innovation, embracing an agentic video first, AI first, people centric approach. And today we've seen this transformation in action. A huge thank you to each and every one of you who joined us today. We truly recognize and celebrate the winners who have been with us on this journey of innovative and transformative change, making every day at work simpler, faster, and safer. A special thank you once again to Rory Davidson from Affinity Water for sharing such valuable insights with us. And huge congratulations to our star winners, Doug Tackley and Paul Dooley, for pioneering game changing approaches in your respective companies. You are truly inspirational. Before we sign off, mark your calendars. Our next masterclass will be in September 2025. We can't wait to see more game changers join us as we continue our mission for happier customers, contractors, and colleagues.